You have ordered books, electronics, clothes, and even furniture online. But have you ever stopped to think about what happens when someone puts a living, breathing thing with the roots, soil, leaves and all into a cardboard box and ship it across India? Or maybe across the world even. A plant doesn't pause for a delayed flight. It doesn't care that it's stuck in a warehouse in Bhiwandi at 42 degrees Celsius. It keeps on living or it doesn't. This is not just logistics. This is a race against biology. In today's episode of Logistically Speaking, I am taking you on a journey deep inside one of the most fascinating, most overlooked supply chain in the world. The logistic of shipping live plants. From the startups disrupting India's nursery industry to how Singapore built a garden city by importing trees from as far as away as Ecuador. Make sure you watch the full episode. In 2020, when COVID-19 locked India indoors, something unexpected happened. People started buying plants, a lot of them. Balconies became green sanctuaries. The fiddle leaf fig became a social media icon. The humble money plant got a second life. Plants are the new pets, as Ugaru's founder 𝐍𝐚𝐿𝐴 famously put it. And the result? India's indoor plants reached $612 million in 2024 and is projected to hit $1.2 billion by 2033, growing at nearly 7.5% annually. Major e-commerce platforms reported a 45% increase in indoor plant sales in the last 2 years, year after year. India's home and garden market, now worth $32 billion, has been growing year after year at rates industries would envy. Before we knew it, women aged 25 to 60 and Gen Z and millennial urban dwellers in metros and rapidly growing tier 2 cities like Indore, Surat and Coimbatore took on the role of plant parents, the people who name their plants and talk to them. And it has created a multi-crore industry built around answering one deceptively simple question. How do you ship something that's alive? 𝐍𝐚𝐿𝐴, a landscape architect by training and from a family of vegetable seed family businesses dating back to 1885, visited Italy and was struck by how Italians grew their own herbs and vegetables at home. He came back to India in 2015 with a dream. Bring that connection between urban people and plants to Indian homes. Ugaru's growth has been striking. Revenues jumped from 24 crore to 63 crore in a year, over 1 million orders fulfilled and fresh capital raised and a large automated production facility supporting thousands of SKUs. But the real twist is logistic economics. Packaging and shipping can account for nearly half the cost of a plant. From a modestly priced plant, a significant share goes just to getting it safely to the customer. Because the product is alive, logistic isn't just mere delivery. It's central to the quality, the customer experience and brand promise. On Amazon India, a thriving ecosystem of plant sellers has emerged. Amulya Farms and Nursery is one of the most notable, selling everything from nerve plants to philodendrons to lucky bamboo directly through Amazon's marketplace. They promise shock-proof packaging and adequate watering for up to 7 days in transit. And for longer deliveries, they add moss to extra moisture inside the box so that the plant can breathe during the extended transit. With players like Nursery Live, 𝐾𝐻, Nurturing Green, 𝐿𝐴, Little Jungle, 𝐠𝐴𝐻 stepping in, India's online plant marketplace is becoming as competitive as fast fashion. So, how do these startups get your plant to you live and thriving? The brutal truth about shipping a live plant is that a plant in a dark box is essentially in survival mode. It cannot photosynthesize. It's burning through its stored energy. So the goal of plant logistics isn't to have the plant thrive in the box. It's to have it arrive alive enough to recover. Let me talk on the 7-step protocol for getting this done. Step 1. Root protection. Roots are the weakest link. Bare root plants are wrapped in damp paper or cocoa peat, moist but never wet. Too much moisture causes rot, too little causes dehydration. Step 2. Stem securing. Delicate stems are stabilized with the stakes or breathable sleeves to prevent breakage from constant transit vibration. Step 3. The box. Not just packaging, but engineered protection, rigid double-walled corrugated boxes with a ventilation. Some designs can tolerate extreme stacking pressure without collapsing. Step number 4, climate management. Delivery vehicles can hit brutal temperature. Gel packs or thermal materials help buffer heat or cold, carefully positioned away from the route. Step number 5, labeling. Clear markings like live plant and this side up material improve handling outcomes during courier movement. Step number 6, transit window engineering. Shipments are timed to avoid weekend or holiday delays, minimizing warehouse stress and darkness exposure. Step number 7, recovery period. Care instructions prepare customers for mild wilting and guide acclimatization process of gentle watering, indirect light and patience. And for tissue culture plants, packaging becomes even more precise. Moisture balance, sterile gels, light control and contamination barriers must all work together inside one sealed micro environment. This is closer to pharma cold chain logistic than a regular courier operation. Now, here is where it gets genuinely complex, and for logistic professionals, this is where things get really interesting. Moving a live plant across a state border in India, manageable. But moving it across international borders, that's where you enter a regulatory maze that might stop the entire shipment in their track and kill them. Moving plants across borders is less shipping and more survival through regulation. First, phytosanitary certificate, which is mandatory proof that plants are pest and disease free. And each country has its own rule, and tiny documentation errors can trigger delays, rejection or even destruction. Second, endangered species control. Many popular plants, especially orchids and rare ornamentals, require special permits. Missing them isn't a logistic mistake. It's a legal violation. Third, invasive species protection. Soil can carry invisible threats, so strict market often demand bare root shipping or certified treatments. Even small shipments require inspections, permit, custom filing and expert handling. Plant logistics isn't just transport. It's compliance, biology and risk management all combined. When we talk about plant logistics, Singapore is the ultimate example. In 1965, a tiny resource-poor island needed a way to stand out. The Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's answer was simple but radical. Trees. Greening became national policy, and over time, the city filled with millions of trees, each one individually tracked and managed. But the real story is sourcing. Singapore sent botanical missions across the world searching for species that could survive the climate, require little maintenance and still look stunning. Thousands were tested, only the best remained. That's why Singapore's streets are lined with the trees from Australia, India, China and even Ecuador in Central America. A modern city quite literally designed through global plant logistics. Gardens, by the way, pushed this idea further and built on reclaimed land with every plant and even the soil brought from abroad. Logistics didn't just support development, it created the landscape. And today, Singapore has roughly 2.9 million roadside trees, and the future strategy is towards restoring native species and add another 1 million trees by 2030. Singapore didn't inherit its greenery. It built it through vision, science and logistics. Let's zoom out and look at what the world's best planned logistic corporations have figured out. The Netherlands leads in speed and automation. Massive auction system process millions of flowers and plants daily and moving them across the world within 24 to 48 hours of harvest. Thailand excels in tissue culture logistics, where moisture, light, sterility and compliance must be tightly controlled during export. In the United States, success hinges on regulatory intelligence and data. Systems verify whether each plant can legally ship to other destination before the dispatch. Different market, same lesson. Plant logistics is about precision, control and timing. The global cold chain logistic market, which covers temperature sensitive goods including plants, food, pharma and more, was valued at $349 billion in 2024. Roughly 75% of these cold chain shipments still rely on styrofoam and ice, a method largely unchanged for decades. The plant industry is actually pushing innovation in sustainable packaging because its buyers, the millennials and Gen Z, demand it. India's plant logistics story is only beginning, and the next phase is fascinating. Cucumbers already entering the space. While large plants doesn't fit in a 10 minutes model, small items like succulents, seed kits and lucky bamboos do. This pushes retailers towards hyper-local dark stores functioning as mini nurseries. Regional hubs are the real unlock. Instead of shipping plants across the country, localized hub/distance cut delivery time and reduce plant stress and lower returns. Then comes AI and weather intelligence, the systems that avoid heat waves or cold snaps by dynamically adjusting dispatch schedules. Plant logistics in India is rapidly shifting from simple shipping to precision orchestration. India imports a significant volume of ornamental plants annually, the exotic aroids, rare ferns and imported bamboo. With improving air cargo infrastructure and better phytosanitary processing systems at Indian airport, expect this to grow. Amelia Farms already sells imported plant labeled products on Amazon like the Birkin variegated and broken heart plant, catering to an aspirational urban buyer willing to pay premium for which is something genuinely rare. So the next time a plant arrives at your door alive, green and sometimes a little stress from its journey, take a moment to appreciate what actually happened. Someone grew it, someone packed it using science, not guesswork, and someone kept it cool and moist and upright through the supply chain that wasn't designed for living things. Someone tracked it, managed it, and hoped that when you opened that box, you would smile. From a 9-year-old startup in Pune to Singapore's government importing trees from Ecuador to a global cold chain worth hundreds of billions, the logistics of plant is one of the most human, most fascinating, and most underrated stories in all of supply chain management. It's a supply chain where the product breathes, feels, and sometimes, despite everyone's best effort, just doesn't make it. But when it does, it's worth every kilometer. If you found this video interesting, do subscribe. We go deep into supply chain and logistics stories that are hiding in plain sight. Thank you and see you next week.